Hello, this is Encounters with Life. I'm Sean Abigail, your host. Before I get into the content, can I ask you to like and leave a comment? And can I also ask you to subscribe to this channel? It means everything to me. All right, now let's get into the content. So, was Donald Trump right to send in the National Guard, to send in the Marines into Los Angeles? There was riots. There was what he called an insurrection. We saw photos or video every day on the news of protesters battling it out, destroying police cars, burning buildings, looting, and so on. There was one classic picture of a bunch of police cars lined up on a road, and there was an overpass, and all these police cars were being damaged by people throwing things off, and the police were kind of hiding underneath the overpass. So, did Donald Trump do the right thing in sending in the National Guard? Now, when I talk about Donald Trump as a Canadian, there are lots of people who feel that I do not hate Donald Trump enough. If I want to be a true Canadian, if I want to be sane, I have to hate Donald Trump in absolutely everything that he says and does. And let me say at the beginning, I take Donald Trump on a case-by-case, issue-by-issue basis. I don't hate him. I don't love him. I think some of the things he does are kind of wacky. I think other things he does are misconstrued by a left-leaning media. And I think a few of the things that he does are actually pretty decent. As far as this whole insurrection, is it really an insurrection? He called it that. Maybe others say, no, it was just a riot. It was an exercise of free speech. Well, it's interesting that Donald Trump needs to only open his mouth and tens of thousands of people instantly become constitutional scholars and say, it's unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional. No, actually, if it's an insurrection, it is constitutional. If it's not an insurrection, it's not constitutional to send in the National Guard. So that's the real question. Was it an insurrection? And I tend to think that if you've got people who are out in the streets protesting, that is an exercise of free speech. If they're out there peacefully, maybe loud, but protesting, that is an exercise of free speech. And as citizens of democratic countries, we have to put up with the fact that people are going to go out and protest. That is actually a safety valve in our society. But if people are out burning, looting, stealing, destroying police cars, then that's not a viable demonstration. That is a riot, maybe even an insurrection. I suppose if one police car gets destroyed, it's part of a riot. If dozens of police cars are getting destroyed, then that's a bit of an insurrection. So let me know what you think. But Donald Trump, I believe, did the right thing. And he knew something that the governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles didn't know. There was one fact, one reality that he was clear on, that they were not clear on. And that is, if you don't do anything about a raging mob, it just emboldens them. It gets worse and worse and worse, until the mob finds out that their actions have consequences. If there's no consequences, if nobody's getting arrested, if the riot police are not really doing anything, then there's no consequences, and the mob just gets worse. And the professional protesters show up, the people who have really nothing to do, but they just like burning things, they show up. Whereas if there are consequences, if people are being pulled away from the crowds and arrested, then there's consequences, and then all of a sudden, things get better. And that's what we're seeing. Things were out of control, and now things are getting better because people are being arrested. All right, what do you think? I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'm Sean Abigail. That's Encounters with Life.